Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Evening, everyone. This is Niyi Adewole, host of the Akaba Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, and I'm excited to be joining you here on the second to last Wednesday of 2023. It's crazy how fast this year has gone by. Just when you look at this time last year, when you're setting goals for a full year, you start trying to strive toward those, and you see that you're actually hitting those goals. It's incredible, and it's really gratifying. And it motivates you to set goals for the next year. And so in this call, this is going to be our last one for 2023. It's going to be an open session. And then again, starting in 2024, we're going to bring on a lot more guests. But I just wanted to reiterate what this group is. The Akaba Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group is for those that do not believe they were put on this earth to work 40 to 50 years or to hopefully retire at the age of 65 when you're too old and too immobile to actually get out and do things. It's for those that believe they can achieve financial freedom faster and quicker so that they can optimize their life and be able to do more of what you want on a day-to-day basis and gain back your most precious asset, which is your time. And so super excited to have some more members join and to continue to connect and learn about what you have going on. And today's going to be no different. So tonight it's going to be an open session. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and or jump in. But one thing I wanted to cover tonight is something that I've been focused on over the last month. It's not always about acquiring more units. At times, what you want to do is optimize the portfolio that you already have. For example, during 2020 through really like middle of 2022, there was an incredible run up in the prices of homes, right? They appreciated rapidly because of all the money that the government put into the market. And that money's still circulating. So there's still some room to go for these properties once interest rates come down a little bit. But there was an incredible run up. And when interest rates went up, what a lot of people predicted is, hey, there's going to be a crash. Like these prices are going to go low, low, low. And for some coastal markets, i.e., California's or the, Arizonas of the world, sure, that may have been true. But for, our location and other hot markets like the Southeast, what has really happened is it stagnated a little bit, maybe declined in some parts of those markets a little bit. But for the most part, it's remained steady or even gone up slightly. And so with that in mind, if you bought a house, especially, and put more, than a 5% or 10% down, you bought it as an investment in 2020 or 2021, it'd be a good idea to look at how much equity you have in that house. And do you have the ability to remove PMI? I can tell you that I actually submitted for PMI removal on 3 properties that I purchased between 2021 and 2022. And I've gotten the response back on 2 of them after they did the appraisal. One of them I put 5% down on, and that home is appreciated so much that they actually said, hey, you've achieved that 20% ownership. So we're going to remove the PMI, which is a significant amount of savings. I'm talking hundreds of dollars a month, right? And then the other one that they've already approved was one I put 15% down on as a DSCR loan. And now that one, they say I have about 25% or so ownership in that one because it's appreciated. And so they were able to remove the PMI there. And that gave me about another $200 a month. And so there's ways to create even more cash flow within your portfolio without actually going out to buy other ones or trading the unit. And it can be as simple as just submitting a request to your mortgage company to remove your PMI. Highly recommend, if you have not looked at it, to go ahead and take a look at that piece, especially if you bought your home in a hot market, more than 18 months ago. I think it's a good time to take a look and see if you can get that piece removed. But I'm going to hop off my soapbox. That was my main piece for today. I did get excited about that, and I'm always looking to optimize the portfolio. And so if there's any questions, any comments, feel free to throw it into the chat or join live, and I'd be happy to answer anything that you have. One other piece I wanted to cover is starting in 2024, we're going to start a financial freedom series on YouTube where it's going to be some 5-minute recordings where we talk about different pieces needed to achieve financial freedom and how you can zero in and kind of use your skill set to get there. And so I'm excited about that series to launch. We're recording a few videos as we speak, and it's in with the editors. And we're going to get that thing going, I believe, end of January or February. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be coming pretty soon. So I'm excited to be able to pass that along to you as we head into the new year. But again, this is an open session. Please feel free to join via the chat and or call in live. And this is going to be the last session that we have for 2023. And so I'm excited to connect with the Akaba Home members and really wish you a happy new year as we head into a fun-filled 2024.
Yo,
Desmond, what is up, man?
what's up, man? How's it going?
It is super good. And this is the last call that we're having in 2023. So it's kind of surreal, man, when you think like, wow, this whole year is almost over.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's crazy preparing for the new year. I already know that like we're gonna blink and we're gonna be in, the summer. It's gonna be like June or July. Gonna be
Yeah.
getting ready for the winter.
And literally, when you think about that stuff, two things. There's a phenomenon that I believe happens. I don't know if you
hmm
feel this way as well, but I feel like after you get out of college, like the day after you get out of college, life just accelerates. Like it's just
Yeah,
like that time period, you can remember it feeling kind of slow at times and things of that nature. And before that, definitely feeling slow. But now
right.
it's like, dude, these years go by quick.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. It's like you can't like keep up now. Before you wanted it to like be fast and like accelerate. Now you're like, man, I wish it would like slow down. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's going too fast.
And it makes it so much more important to just capitalize on each day,
hmm
but also to enjoy the journey. Like literally, there's always going to be another step you're trying to get to. At a certain point in my life, and I know in yours as well, it was like, hey, I just want to get that first property, right,
Right.
from an investment standpoint. And then you get it, and it's like, oh, I want to get this one. I want to build an empire. It's like you can get the
Yeah.
empire, and you're still going to want to build more. So you've got to look back and understand how far you've come, and enjoy the process while you're still striving for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've tried to do that a bit more now. I think now that I've gotten the first property, I've like taken a bit of a deep breath, right? And I've started to uh at least, tell myself and try to implement more of enjoying the journey and like, not just thinking about the next deal, next deal, next deal, like actually, enjoying what I've got. And like David Green has been saying, recently, uh, just like keeping what you have is a flex right now, right? Not even growing more, like especially where the economy is at, just keeping what you've got and maintaining that. So I tried to be, happy in that, but still want to consistently grow for sure and keep that momentum. So like not be complacent just yet and not be, satisfied, I guess I'll say just yet. Happy where I'm at, but not satisfied overall, right? Like definitely want to take it farther.
I love it. I love it. Breaking it down to one sentence. I think it was Steve Jobs said this or something. Stay humble, stay hungry, right? To those
hmm
two, right? Stay humble, but stay hungry. Humble is thankful for everything that we have. Hungry is, hey, I still want to continue to strive. But what you just said is literally, I don't know if you heard me earlier talking about optimizing. But keeping what you have, what David Green's saying is true. And one of the things I started doing, and I'm highly recommending a lot of individuals do as well. I don't know about, it'd be a good exercise for you to take a look at as well. But for the homes that are purchased in 2021 and 2022, that was an amazing run up in the market of prices, right? These homes were just appreciating at a rapid rate. Now we're getting back to a normal rate because interest rates went like crazy. Um, but one of the things that we tend not to think about is, hey, how can I just optimize my current portfolio, right? Instead
Right.
of the next one, next one, next one. And so PMI, right? That's something that's real. It exists on your portfolio.
hmm
So for my personal house, which I put 5% down on, as well as 2 investment homes where I put 15% on. I actually reached out to the mortgage companies about a month ago, and each of them require you to put a payment in. But I requested, like, hey, I want a PMI removal. And the first thing they said is, hey, you haven't paid down your loan enough for that. But I just got on the phone and said, hey, guys, I believe that it's gone up in value for this, that, and the other reason. I want a PMI removal. And so they ask you to send in a check, right? They make it kind of hard to do this, but they ask you to send in a check to pay the appraiser. They had the appraisers come out to 2 of the properties. Now, the third one we're still waiting on. And with both cases, they actually said, hey, the value is much more and your PMI can be removed. Even my personal house, 5% down. And so the PMI cost for those 2 houses equated to about $550 a month. So that's $550 that's now in cash flow, or a $550 pay increase per month just from asking, sending in a check, and making it happen. So it's a way to optimize your portfolio.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. I've heard that you can do that. So it's cool that you've actually like taken advantage of that. Um, I'll like periodically watch the value of my house. It hasn't done anything crazy yet, but hopefully one of these days I'll check it. I'll be like, oh shit, I've got like 200.
Come on now, it's coming. It's so cool. It just gets better over time. I think we talk about this a lot. And the cool thing about what the new laws, like the Fannie Mae laws, right, that 5% down for a multi-unit, is it's only going to put more value on these. Like that law is
Mm,
still new. It's like 1 month old, like
mm,
now, right? This week it's 1 month old. Imagine when that starts getting into the mainstream over the next year and what
mm-hmm.
that's going to do to the value of the small multis. But what I look at is, hey, if this home is going to cover itself, dude, I am all in, right? Because even if it doesn't increase in value, which is highly unlikely, right, over a
Right,
30-year period, those
right.
30 years, the house gets paid off. And guess what? You can then take that X amount that you paid for it, where you really only put down 5% or 20%, and
Mm-hmm.
you can use that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's exciting being in this game. And I actually listened to a different podcast earlier this week, the one that Brandon Turner started, the new one, A Better Life. Have you listened to that at all?
I haven't listened to it yet. I heard it's
I
good though.
It's pretty good, man. Like
Yeah,
he was always a good host, and
yeah,
so it was just, I think it popped up on like my screen. I finished listening to everything else, and it popped up. I was like, all right, let me take a look, and I listened
yeah,
to the one that he did with David Green, right? Because it
mm,
felt like the good old times.
yeah.
And man, they were just dropping nuggets and nugget after nugget. And the one point that they drove home, which is clear in my mind, and that's why I'm still trying to acquire more and things of that nature, was just ask your parents, or even just look back 30 years. What were rents, right? What were people paying for
Mm-hmm.
rent? What were people paying
Mm-hmm.
for a house? You can get a house in California for 99K 30 years ago, right?
Yeah,
You could rent a home for, $150, $200, like
yeah.
legit per month, right? Uh, and now that's unheard of, right? People are
Mm-hmm.
paying 2 grand. In New York, they're paying 5 grand. And
Yeah,
down here, we may think, man, 5 grand's crazy. It would never be that down here, but give it 10 years.
yeah.
Give it 20 years, give it 30 years. With the money that's been put into the market, right, and how much is flowing around, like it's highly likely that in 30 years you're going to be paying 10x what you're paying right now. Like somebody could be paying literally 10,000 to 15,000 a month in rent. It sounds crazy right now, but
Right.
I'm sure they thought 2,000 a month was crazy 30 years ago.
Right, right. And that's the thing. It does sound crazy, but like, and you look at the charts and you look at the lines, right? It's just going. It's on the up and up. It never fails to increase. So we're only reasonable to assume that in the future rents are going to increase, home values are going to increase, especially over a long enough period, right? So that's why. I mean, I'm right there with you, right? That's why I definitely want to continue to acquire. But also for me, it's like, and I've even started to reconsider my investments in like retirement accounts, because I'm like, there's really only a few different asset classes that you're going to get into, or that most people are going to get into, right? That I say, I guess, are mainstream. I think real estate's one of those. Um, and I think looking around, I think this is over time the safest bet. Like, at least for me and what I can understand, right? And like, I think if you're a finance guy, or like, you have you know a way with numbers, that maybe playing the stock market, or like even playing crypto could be, a solid play for you. But I feel like when you're looking to get into something simple, right, and you're looking to get into something like stable, but like I guess proven is what I'll say, right? Because like everything else, it's kind of you're not sure. Like I've heard stories. In Day told me actually the reason he got into real estate is because the first day he started on his job, he met someone who they had been there for like 30 years, and they had planned to retire next year, like that time the following year, but they couldn't because the stock market had like dropped drastically, so their retirement had like kind of tanked. And I was like, man, and like that's a real story. Like that should be happening, and like that happens to me, not like where it'll tank, but I'll look, I'm like, oh man, like I've lost like 10K, like like that's not great. Like I'm not like hurting off that, thank God, but like man, like it's really a roller coaster, right? At least the way I see it, especially it. I just feel like this the stocks the charts can do what they want. Like I feel like I have zero control, and I don't. Like only like the Trumps and like the like Charlie Mungers, like those are the guys like moving the market, right? Like their positions, like he'll pull out of something like the market like move a percent, right? Like he's like moving like the S&P 500. Like,
The
that's
whole
crazy.
thing tanks.
Yeah,
He pulls out the whole thing. Everybody's running for the hills.
he's killing companies. Like yeah, for real. But man, for me, I feel like I don't have enough control over that asset class specifically, right? Which I feel like is the other like most popular one, as opposed to real estate, to where I feel like this is going to be my bet for a long time to come.
Hey, listen, no,
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you. I think you made amazing points. And 90% of the millionaires in the world are made through real estate. There's a reason, right? When you watch the Founder movie, like it's less about the burgers, it's more about, hey, the real estate that McDonald owns, and that's
yeah,
made multiple generations the richest in the world. Uh, the 401k piece, I'm with you with one caveat, right? If you're working for a company, and I did this for many years, if you're working for, say, a Fortune 500 company that's going to match X percent, then it makes sense in my mind, right? Because now you're getting free money added to it and it's growing tax free and things of that nature. It does suck that you can't use it till 65. And I hear they're now trying to push that to 75 or something like, don't quote me on that, but I heard something. I was like, what? Uh, um, but to your point, majority of my funds are in real estate. I still have a solid retirement from the years that I put into it when I was at the W-2, but I'm not actively adding to it. And now I just use that as like a backup, right? So for example, when I closed on a deal earlier this year, they're like, hey, we need you to have X amount in reserves. I was like, all right, it's either I move it out of this other account, which I really do not want to, or I have to like, shuffle some stuff from the businesses into my personal account because I don't keep much in my personal. Or I could just pull a portion of the retirement and then put it right back, right? So I was like, all right, let me do that. So I pulled that and then put it back like the next week after closing, and everything was good. So I use it more for
nice.
stuff like that. Maybe in the future, I do want to explore because I've heard people being able to get loans against it or something like that. Have you heard about that? Loans against your 401k?
Dude, that's what I'm doing right now to
True.
close on this deal that we've got. That it's gonna close, right? Fingers crossed, first week
Come
of
on now.
January.
It's going close.
Yeah, it's gonna close. But no, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I did that last year for the last deal, uh, just as the down payment. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I think even like now that you're, off the W-2, you can even do something like they've got like self-directed 401ks. I know that you can do that
Yes.
for an IRA, I'm pretty sure, but I think for your 401k, you could use like the whole thing. I don't know if you can do it in your deal, but I know you can use it to invest in other deals. So
Other deals. You're right. I've
yeah,
looked at that. It has to be other deals. You can't be involved in the management of it, things of that nature.
yeah,
But it's cool. Like if I wanted to go
yeah.
invest in somebody else's syndicate, like I could do that and grow it rapidly within, that fortress back there.
Yeah, but no, the 401k loan piece, I think for me has definitely been powerful. So I've used it twice now, right? And like for Fidelity, I know at least my 401k, you have two different type of loan options that you can take. One can be for a home purchase, and with that type of loan, you get a 15-year term, and there is interest, but you pay it back to yourself, which is like okay. And it's honestly kind of nice that they do that, because then you can, in a way, keep up with the market, right? So right now my rate is like 9% on my 401k loan, which is like fine, because my portfolio at best is going to do like, I mean, it's actually done fairly well, but I think a good portfolio is aimed to do like 10%, right? So if you're paying yourself back almost the same, it's kind of like, in a way, you can look at it as like, oh, you're not missing out on, any returns, right, by having your money invested. But yeah, so you can use it for that 15-year term. You can also use it for a 5-year term, which I'm doing now. Um, and yeah, like I'm also with you that if you have the match, like you have to put your money into that. Like my company, they're doing 50%. I mean, it's like
Oh, you
there's
need
no,
that.
yeah. I
I
mean,
need it.
yeah, I need that, and there's no better return that I'm gonna get anywhere else. Like there's nothing else. But my 401k is my best bet right now. Basically, is what I'm saying. Even if I do a straight up withdrawal and take a 10% penalty, that's still a 40% free return by just putting my money into a bucket, right? So definitely plan to forever take advantage of that. And I guess what I was saying in terms of the retirement accounts is like, for me, like IRAs, right? And like specifically having a traditional IRA or even a Roth IRA, I'm kind of reconsidering, like, do I want to continue putting my money in this bucket, or just keeping this in a more liquid place so that I actually can use it for real estate,
True.
right? Which is the
True.
ultimate goal anyway.
Come on now. And when I was working the W-2, I had a couple things. So I do I like what you're talking about. I do the 401k. I started in the last couple years doing like a backdoor Roth IRA.
That's what I've got set up.
Yeah, to get
Yeah.
like the 6,000 or so. I think it's a little bit
Yeah.
more now you can do per year, which is cool. And it's just another benefit. The way I look at it is like a catch-all, right? It's something that, hey, at the end of this thing, if there's a lot of like, hey, I have a bunch of mortgages that I want to wipe out, you could just
Right.
liquidate that thing at 65, wipe them out, and now you got pure cash flow. It's kind of how I was
Right.
looking at it for a bit. If you have that disposable. Now, the thing I was doing on the side of that, because I was in sales and I was making like commissions, things of that nature, is I also opened just a regular Vanguard account.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that as a backup to the savings. So I had the Vanguard investing in the S&P 500. I still do that. And that's one that's not tied to an IRA or a 401k. I can pull it anytime, but it just goes with the market a little bit, and it works better than a savings account because the market should, over time, give you like an 8%, 10% return, something like that.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to cover too,
That's fine.
I love what you're talking about with the 401k and taking like a loan from it, because you can. And it almost acts as like a forced savings. That's literally what real estate investing is as well. The more properties you own, the more you have to keep in reserve. And every month you're paying down that mortgage, right? With the money that's coming in, and you're gaining more equity, which is forced savings. So it's like it's taken out of your hands. You're not going to miss that mortgage payment, and it's making you save. But when you talk about the 401k, there's one difference that I want to make sure we highlight. When you're within a company and you have a 401k, you can take loans against it, no issue. And the person that's actually backing that loan, believe it or not, is the company. The company is the one that's holding those hands, and they're kind of backing that for you. Once you leave a company and now you have that 401k, things of that nature, it gets a little more difficult. So, like the loan I took on mine, quote unquote, is one that Vanguard offers where you can, for any reason, pull once a year, once every 365 days. You can pull as much as you want from there, but you've got to return it within 60 days or you get hit with that penalty. So it was literally just a show money, and then putting it right back, right? Show and put it back. And if you do pull it and hang on to it, you're getting that 10% penalty, and now it gets taxed at your current tax rate, which could be significant, right? You could be looking at, if you factor in everything, a 40% hit. Easy. So for
Wow.
every dollar, you're getting 60 cents.
Damn.
Yeah.
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 I guess I'll clarify too. I didn't say all the terms, but for anyone that might be watching, you can only do it once a year for any of the loans that I said. And then also you can only take $50,000 or 50%, whichever is greater. So I wish I would have taken the full 50K the first time.
Yep.
In hindsight, because the rate was way better, the term was much longer, and now I'm locked into a much shorter term with a worse rate. So I'll probably do that better the next time around. Thinking about that.
Well, nobody knew it was going to continue going up like it did, right? With the Fed and all that stuff, and now it's thankfully coming down. I'm hoping that this rate's going to come down for you as well a little bit when they lower it.
Do you think that it'll come down?
Is your
Like
rate
it'll
adjustable or no? It's locked in.
in this like you mean like before the closing or after the closing?
No, I mean like the rate on the borrowed funds from 401k. Is it
Oh,
adjustable or is it locked in?
oh, that's a good question. I want to say it's locked in.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they calculate it at like the base rate at that time, and they add a little bit. Excuse me for the interest, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's locked in.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I know like for HELOCs, right? This is something we've talked about in the past. That's adjustable based on the Fed rate. And commercial
Mm,
loans are adjustable. And so the Fed cutting interest rates or talking about cutting interest rates is music to my ears because literally like the loans that we have on the projects in Louisville and the loan on the HELOC I have, they adjust based on the Fed index rate. So if they come down, my interest rate comes down and now the monthly payment's lower. There's, it increases everything. It makes it a little bit better.
yeah, that's the same with like credit cards too, right? Most credit cards,
Yeah, yeah, but most credit cards I see are like 30%, man. It's nuts. Like
they're super
they
high.
will hit you over the head.
Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to read a bit. I'm trying to like uh understand again if I want to continue using credit cards. Um, Specifically because I have one sitting right here for the make sure I don't like flash the number too, right? The Chase Sapphire Preferred, right? So I'll use this a lot for like when I'm booking travel, and I'll like use the travel points and whatnot. And I've tried to be a bit more savvy with the point using and hacking. I don't even want to call it hacking because I'm not doing anything that sophisticated, right? But at the end of the day, I'm trying to understand if I want to continue trying to do that and if it's worth it, or if I just want to kind of abandon that and go with my checkings, right? Like, I think it's easy to say, oh, like you pay off the bill at the end of the month, but like there's a certain point where you can fall behind on that. And
Yes.
yeah, and I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, oh, like man, it's like getting tough, like it's getting close,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, man, I don't know if that sort of risk is really worth it. So yeah, reevaluating
Right.
that, but
All I heard is that you be just Apple paying everything, man. He's like, hey,
basically,
we ain't gotta pay this.
it's too easy nowadays. Basically,
It is, and you don't even see like, hey, where's this money going?
I know.
But
I got it on my watch. I'm tapping it like Apple's paying it. I'm just like,
you say, hey, Apple got this, right?
for
Oh,
real.
they got a big credit card. No, no. What I've tended to do is for like my reoccurring stuff, like the monthly bills, things of that nature, I put that on the credit card and then I just transfer money to it. And I even do it just enter like once a week. I may check it and just okay, let me transfer money to it just to make sure we're good. Um, and then for the new credit cards, I only get it if I'm doing something specific. So, for example, buying a house. I get a house. I'm turning a couple into Airbnbs. I'm gonna look for a business credit card or a personal credit card that has 12-month interest free. I'm not even really worried about the points like that, unless I'll give you one caveat. I'll give you two examples, right? Earlier this year, I bought a fourplex, and two of the units are turned into B&Bs, and I needed a good amount of money to do that and furnish it and things of that nature. So I was looking for a 12-month interest free, so I can pay that off over that time period, right, and use income from the Airbnb. And so I didn't really care about the points and all that stuff. I was focused on that. In 2021, I bought a personal home and turned the in-law suite into an Airbnb. And for that one, I was willing to splurge a little bit and things of that nature. And I had the cash ready in the account. And so I was looking more for the points. So I went and got like, a Delta card or a Marriott card, one where you're going to get many points that you can utilize. And I just swiped the card and then paid it off immediately. And then I actually put the card away. Like I don't even use those cards. I just put it into like a safe far away and I just went back to using my other cards. So that's two ways I do it, right? But anytime I have a new property, especially if I'm going to do something B&B related with it, I'll get a new card that's attached to the property. And because I have a bank account that's attached to that property as well, I'll just set it to auto pay, right? So like, hey, all the bills are going to hit this card, whether it's electric, gas, water, cleaning, going to hit this card. And then on the day it's due, it's going to auto pay from the account to that card.
You probably got like a free trip like every month with like as many credit cards as you got, right?
No, hey, it definitely adds up, especially the short-term rental management account, because we had so many houses where individuals went with the in-house designer and used our card to kind of like fund the stuff up front. Dude, it was a lot coming through at a certain point, and we've used those points definitely. It was like, if you looked at the card, we've probably spent close to, I don't know, definitely over $500,000, probably like between $500,000 and $1 million we spent on that card this year, right?
Jesus.
Doing all these properties. But
that's crazy. I believe it. I mean,
cool.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And see, that's honestly, I don't think I'm going to run into it on this next property, but I feel like I'm going to have to start becoming more sophisticated with like using LLCs. And I think, with my first property, it wasn't a big deal. But now moving into the next one, and we were talking about this a little bit, like I think earlier this week or last week, moving my current one into an LLC, right? And like starting to get credit under that LLC and like opening up credit cards under a business's name rather than just my name, or even like as a sole proprietor as a business, right? Because it's getting to the point where I know they're going to be like, yo, like, you already got like 10 credit cards. Like, we're not giving you another one. Or like your limit's going to be like 2K, So, yeah. I feel like that's something I'm going to have to deal with sooner rather than later. And that's definitely something in the new year I want to button up. Like, get this moved into an LLC. Maybe even like, have, I don't know. I don't want to make it, too complicated or too crazy. But like, to the best of my benefit, right? Maybe like, have an LLC that like does the management, right? And like pay myself that way, like, managing the different B&Bs and whatnot. I don't know, right? But it's definitely something I want to approach and like get tied up for sure.
Yes, and I would not overcomplicate this early. You don't have to, right? I think the first step is securing that other property, getting it up and running, and then that should take like a month to maybe a little longer, month to 2 months, and then immediately after that, getting an LLC, which is relatively easy. Working with a lawyer, they can draft everything, get it all together, and then you move one property into the LLC and kind of go from there. Literally, when we created the Acabo Home LLC, it was for my properties, right? It was to like put some property as I was buying in there, and then I started managing one other unit. I was like, all right, I can just throw it in the same LLC, it's fine. And then fast forward, it's like, dude, we got like a bunch of units under management. We got to separate these two. So then I will create another LLC and moved all the properties that I own out of this to where now the management company is one in its own. So I guess what I'm getting at is, until that management company is making, X amount and you can decide that dollar amount, I don't know that you need a whole, separate LLC.
Right.
It's when we started making serious, like, hey, 5 figures each month. It's like, all right, let's move this thing, separate the two, because if something happens over here, I don't want it taking down the properties.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Anything else top of mind? I know we got a lot coming. It's going to be an interesting finish to the year. Oh, and I don't think we're going to need to use the 8-day. I'll leave it at that. We'll talk offline. But anything top of mind?
That's interesting news. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear what you have offline. No, I don't think so. No, man, I'm just trying to, focus up going into the new year, get this property wrapped up, and then look toward the next one.
Have you written down your goals for the new year yet, like on paper or somewhere?
I haven't written. I've started a list in my like to-do app. So I kind of have a list there, and I've kind of had it just be like a working list, right? And I want to come together and formally like write those down, make those official. I'm guessing you've completed that.
Come on now. Yeah, you got, hey, my man said he got a to-do list for his goals. He said, hey, number 1, take over the world. Number 2, take over Mars.
All right, there you go.
No. I think it's hugely important, especially this time of year where it starts to slow down at work. Because it's good to know, like, you know, the direction you want to go in, but when you write it down and you can actually see it, man. It like I look at mine at least once a week, but really probably 2 or 3 times a week when I have like breaks in between meetings. I'll just read through, and it keeps you focused. You're like, okay, yeah, I did want to do that. Let me make sure I put some more attention on this, and it helps you achieve it. And the cool thing is when you look back at this time of year, like on last year, you're like, wow, I really did hit the goals I set.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all about it now. Writing it down and kind of having it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I need to get on it. I need to get on it
That's fair.
for
But
sure.
Desmond, it's good to see you on the final call of the year. Next year, we're going to be ramping up, man. I'm already lining up a bunch of guests. We're going to have minimum 20 guests that come on
Nice.
next year.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
excited for it. And yeah, it's going to be cool, man.
That's awesome, man. All right, man. Looking forward to it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I will catch you a little bit later.
All right, man. Catch you later. See ya.
Peace.